the funny one that you did recently was the John Hawkins name change situation. And if anyone wants to watch that, go back and look at our previous conversation. But you've got a little update on what happened with John Hawkins, because haven't they followed your advice into the point where they've named that road? What was the guy's name? Jack somebody.
Yeah. So what happened was,
anyway, give us an update.
In a brief summary. George Floyd died 22nd of May 2020. Black Lives Matter happened. Labour woke council. They had one complaint from the people who own the cafe in the square, even though it's not registered in the square, Cosmic Cafe. They don't have proper milk. And basically, they then forced the council to make an instant decision, literally within weeks, to change the name of the square to Jack Leslie Square. He was a footballer.
John Hawkins being a very famous Plymouth son.
Yeah, so John Hawkins is like mega famous in Plymouth, and in a way he did more for Plymouth than Drake did, and he was Sir Francis Drake's cousin. So when Drake and the Armada story, he was playing bowls. So John Hawkins was in the front of the first boat chasing the Spanish off. And so John Hawkins was the mayor of Plymouth. He was an MP for Plymouth, and that's why he became the chief commander of the Navy, and he rebuilt the Navy under Queen Elizabeth. But the one thing that him and Drake did at the request of Queen Elizabeth at the time was to go on 3 slave trade missions to Africa, and that's what they did. Because imagine if they said no, off with his head, right? So it's a bit mad, really, when you can't judge yesterday's actions with today's morals. And what Plymouth City Council tried to do with Sir John Hawkins Square, they tried to replace a perceived racist, Sir John Hawkins, with a perceived victim of racism. Because Labour and the whole woke community think that slavery is racist, which is obscene when you think about the Barbary slave trade. You think about the first legal slave trader in America was black. Now, I told Jenny from the BBC, from Spotlight, that. She didn't like that when she interviewed me, that I told her that. Didn't get aired either. But the point is, the Plymouth City Council made this really rushed decision. They didn't disclose the decision when I appealed it in the court. So subject to the whole court case, not on the table. That's because they didn't follow the policy, because they didn't get permission from Jack Leslie's family until after they made the decision, when their policy said they had to get permission from his family before they make the decision, as it becomes a nomination. So they did things backwards. That's why they hid the decision. And in the meantime, Muggins here went on Google Earth, looked at Home Park, where Plymouth Argyle play, which is half a mile through Central Park from my house, and the road off Outland Road, which basically circumnavigates Mayflower Car Park, which is behind the Life Centre, a big pools and sports centre, which is opposite Home Park. And so basically the road where Home Park is didn't have a name because it became unadopted 15 years ago when they built the Life Centre. And so nobody is responsible for the maintenance of that road, which is why it looks absolute mess. And yet I said to the council in an ADR letter, Alternative Dispute Resolution, look, why don't you name that road Jack Leslie Way, leave the square as it is, and let's not go to court. They wrote back to me, said, nah, we're going to court. What happened was, I lost the court hearing, Labour lost the council at the next election, and then the Conservatives took over, and during Nick Kelly, the Conservative leader at the time, during his 1 year as leadership, he, right at the end of it, where the council officers, especially Giles Perriott, who took the signs down, and they're still down today, they basically tried to stop it, but Nick got it through in the end. And so Jack Leslie Way exists. And so because that happened, the council have gone back to court. I was in the court hearing yesterday with my friend who's doing it. I'm not doing it because I've got an extended crow against me, which I'm trying to get rid of. And I've also put on a SPOC, a specific point of contact. So the courts and the council have totally restricted me because I exposed their lie last time. And then now we're going to expose their lie again, which is even funnier, like round 2. And now they want to change the name to Justice Square, because the irony is, Sir John Hawkins Square is behind the Magistrates Court where we had the hearing yesterday, which is a case management hearing. And the council have breached the rules 3 times. We pointed that out in paper to the judge twice before yesterday's hearing, and he only acknowledged one of them. And then it says the council should not execute any works until the appeal has run its course. And of course, they did that last time. They took the signs down. They've been off for 1,500 days, nearly 4 years. And it says that in the rules. And we said that to the judge yesterday, and he went, this is his words, Loz. He said, I don't have any power nor jurisdiction to force them to put the signs back up. And I'm like, what? But he does. But that's what he told my friend, self-litigant. Oh, I don't have any power to do that. Of course you do. Crazy situation.
So I think,
and that's it in a nutshell.
I think it's funny that you're still going. It's funny that you're still a thorn in this side over this, what they thought was going to be the most simple thing. I know, we'll just take the sign down. No one's going to know. No one's going to complain. It's only John Hawkins. What are they going to do? I've got a complaint over here. Yeah, Mr. Bamping. It's turned into a 3-year-long campaign. Must have cost them thousands to defend it. And there you are. You're still going. And you know, at the heart of it, it's an important struggle, because what you're doing is highlighting how they are trying to subtly continue to erode our culture, our people, our ideas, and these are just small little steps in the whole campaign.
It could set a massive precedent.
Yeah.
But what's really interesting is this: Section 18, which is what they're using to change an existing road name. It says alter or alteration of an existing road name. When you look at the legislation was written in 1925 Public Health Act. It was probably written on a quill pen on really thick paper, right? They knew then that once you name a road, it goes on a map, and that map is going to be hand drawn. So they knew then we mustn't allow the local authorities to change road names, because when you do that, and the irony is, a few years ago, there's a street in Plymouth called Howson Lane. And I made a complaint against it to the council, because it was named after Charles Howson, who got jailed for 8 years for being a nonce and sexual stuff when he was in the Navy against young boys. They came forward, he got jailed. And that road was named after him. So I said, get rid of that. It's like having loads of roads up north near Leeds and Yorkshire had to be changed because they were named after Jimmy Savile. And this is the thing, is that they changed it to Bracken Lane, but only 6, and that was 6 years ago, when they changed it to Bracken Lane. Only 2 months ago on Google did it change from Howson Lane to Bracken Lane. In contrast, when they named Jack Leslie Way, which didn't have a name, 3 days after it had been officially named by the council, it was on Google, it was on everybody's sat-nav. Yeah? There lies an important thing, is because an alteration do not mean change or rename. The Black's Law Dictionary 1910 says to alteration means to change something in a small way that doesn't lose its identity. And then there's case law, which is in the 50s or 60s, which addresses the word alteration in a planning thing, where a London company bought a listed building in London, and it said you can make alterations to it. So they put a demolition notice in to say we're going to demolish it. And it had to go to the High Court and all that stuff, Court of Appeal, and they determined alteration does not mean change completely. You can't demolish it. You can only alter the building. So if you wanted to alter a street name, and Sir John Hawkins Square is perfect, if you wanted to alter it, just drop the Sir John, because everybody in Plymouth calls it Hawkins Square anyway.
Yeah.
And it doesn't lose its identity, and it doesn't matter on maps. And that's the thing, is that by removing the signs in Sir John Hawkins Square on the 8th of June 2020, Charles Perry, the Deputy CEO of the council, I affectionately refer to him as Mr. Burns from The Simpsons because he looks like him, he removed the signs. and you're supposed to be fined £1 a day if you're found guilty of removing the signs. No lawful work order, no legal reason to do it. And in court yesterday, they said we're not putting back up because they're threatened by graffiti.
Yeah, well, I think you might have found an angle there with the fine for £1 a day. Maybe we need to figure out how we can route those fines for £1 a day to you for your Send Me a Pound campaign. But Danny, this was just a little short update. I just wanted to catch up with you and your stories. Thanks so much for coming on again and helping me. I hope we can help you. Now, if people want to support the Send Me a Pound campaign, what can they do? How can they get in touch with you? Where can they find you?
Well, the sendmeapound.com website is there. It's up and running. It's only a small website, but it's got all the information you need. It's got my bank details. It's got the PayPal email address, which is sendmeapound23@gmail.com. And it's got the video on the front page. You can watch the video. There's going to be different versions soon for Twitter, X, and Instagram. And then there's going to be TikTok and stuff like that. I'm just going to keep pushing it, keep it going. And if people want to send me £1, do. If they want to send me a £5, do. If they want to send me 100 quid and they can afford it, do. But I'm only asking for £1. And if they don't want to send me anything, that's fine. Yeah, I'm not forcing anybody. It's just asking. My gran once told me, you don't get unless you ask. And that's true. And also, as Michael said to me, charity begins at home.
Cool.
So, yeah, on my other Public Detective YouTube channel, that's where the video is. So I'm on Public Detective. I'm on Twitter as Danny Bampin. I'm on Facebook as Danny Bampin, but I'm more or less maxed out. But yeah, that's me. And thanks for this opportunity, Loz. I really appreciate you spreading this pay it forward message and what I'm trying to do. No problem, mate. Good luck. Really great chatting to you. I hope the next time we speak is that, you can tell me how successful this campaign is.